So with Christmas Day rapidly approaching, we are just weeks away from the release of Stranger Things 5 Volume 2. Today, I want to give you guys some of my theories and predictions for the next batch of episodes.
We stopped at a light and saw him walking in that field behind the Lost River Drive-In. Julie said he was so creepy.
Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Stranger Things 5 Volume 2. So I'm sure as all of you recall, the day before Thanksgiving, we got the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things Season 5, ending with The Sorcerer, which left us with a lot to chew on and a ton of questions leading into the second batch of episodes. Now, I've been a Stranger Things fan since this show dropped in 2016, and I don't think I can ever name another show that seems to be getting better as it goes along. Stranger Things is one of those. Every season they're pulling out new things out of seemingly nowhere and shocking fans left and right. And Volume 1 of Season 5 is no different. And before we get into these predictions, I just want to say we need to take a moment to take a step back every now and then and appreciate the moment we're living in. Because it is not often you have television bring so many people together like Stranger Things has over the last decade. It is truly a phenomenon, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of event. And this finale is probably going to be huge in theaters and on Netflix. Alright, so jumping into my predictions, and I just want to say, I hope some of these are wrong, okay? If this ends up being wrong in a couple weeks, please come back and remind me, because some of them I don't want to come true. But my first prediction here, and I think a lot of fans are speculating about this, we are going to get the Thessalhydra. Now, I'm not familiar with D&D, I've never played it, I do have a couple friends that have, but I do know enough from watching Stranger Things to know that the Thessalhydra is supposed to be like the big bad. And this has been teased for multiple seasons now, in my opinion. See, everybody is focused on Vecna. Vecna, Henry 1, whatever you want to call him, he's the big bad, right? He is the one that is hatching this plan to bring the Upside Down to Hawkins, right? Not quite, but we'll get to that in the next part. I think it's very clear by now that Vecna is being controlled by Mind Flayer particles, and the bidding that Vecna is doing is the bidding of the Mind Flayer. But the Mind Flayer isn't the big bad. The Thessalhydra is. Now, some fans have speculated that maybe the Mind Flayer is evolving and will turn into this three-headed dragon, or maybe there truly is a three-headed dragon that is one rung above the Mind Flayer. Whatever it may be, I do believe we are going to get that three-headed dragon in the finale. Now, aside from the fact that that is the natural progression of D&D, I mean, we're already talking about Demogorgons and Vecna, it would be natural to get to the Thessalhydra. There are other hints dropped throughout this show. In Season 4, the painting that Will shows Mike has a three-headed dragon on it. In the Season 5 teaser, when Will is screaming "run," you clearly hear a roar. Run! So my first prediction is we're going to get the Thessalhydra in all of its glory. My next theory here, and this one I think is backed up by quite a bit of evidence, is that Vecna's not trying to bring the Upside Down into Hawkins. He's trying to create a bridge. Now obviously we've seen that Episode 7 is literally called The Bridge, and it would make sense to end Volume 2 on a massive cliffhanger, like a bridge to Dimension X being created. That is what Vecna is trying to do. He is trying to create a bridge between the worlds that can transfer matter and energy. And with a heavy focus on wormholes pretty much throughout this entire show's run, it makes sense that that is where it will end. So I personally fully anticipate that Vecna is trying to create that bridge so the Mind Flayer can come into Hawkins in the real world and infect the real world. Because as we know, Dimension X and the Upside Down are not the same thing. Dimension X is where Henry was first sent and was infected by Mind Flayer particles before traversing to the Upside Down. My next theory here is that 11 is going to die. And I think this show has kind of always hinted at this throughout its entire run. Even with the end of season 1, it was almost like a trial run. See, we've seen throughout the seasons that every time Elle has to exert a ton of energy, it leaves her weakened and sometimes on the brink of death. And I personally believe there's going to be no fight bigger than trying to defeat the Thessalhydra, Vecna, whoever else might be involved for 11. And I think it's going to take all that she has to close that bridge and finally seal off Dimension X and the Upside Down for good. I also know that there are rumors and theories going around because of set photos that appear to be Hopper and Mike sitting on a bench, almost like they're reminiscing and they're sad. Personally, I think that just makes sense regardless. Technically, 11 is responsible for a lot of this, so it would make sense for her to be the one to end it by giving her life. I'm not necessarily advocating for that. I've grown to really like Elle, but I don't know. It just seems to me she just might be a goner here. My next theory, and this is one that brings me no joy, but I think it's going to happen. I think Steve is going to die. And this is really, really difficult to even think about because my journey with this character has been crazy. In season 1, I didn't like him. I thought he was a douche, and I think a lot of people did, and that was the point. He has grown so much since then. I will never forget Dad Steve in season 3 and the bond that he and Dustin cultivated and where they are now. He is easily one of the most charismatic characters in this series. He's hilarious. He's got a heart of gold. He's a fighter. I don't want to see Steve die. And I think that that is exactly what's going to happen because the Duffer Brothers, they just want to make us be miserable. Now, I would argue there's been foreshadowing for this in the first volume of season 5, specifically in episode 1 when Steve and Jonathan are going up the tower. Before they do, Steve remembers that he has to turn it off so he doesn't get shocked. And what seems like an innocent little character moment, I think is far more sinister. I think that was done on purpose. I think that was obvious foreshadowing for something that's going to come. Also, if you watch the trailer for Season 5, you will see a moment where it looks like Mind Flayer particles filling up the radio tower. Also, Episode 5 is called Shock Jock. I could go down the list of reasons why I believe he's a goner, but I really do think he is. Before Season 5 even came out, I just thought it made sense. Season 4 ended with that love triangle in full effect, and I thought, well, one of them's going to have to go. They're not going to fight over Nancy forever. And it makes more sense for the guy that you redeemed, that everybody loved, that would hurt that much more, to be the one to go. In an ultimate moment of sacrifice, he allows himself to die to potentially save Jonathan, Nancy, everyone, whoever it might be. Steve goes out with one final act of goodwill. And that is soul-crushing to think about, but I think Steve's a goner. And my final prediction here is really just a hunch. But I think Henry Creel and Vecna are going to be at odds at some point in these next 4 episodes. And what I mean by that is, part of me wonders if Henry Creel's body is just being used as a host, and he's trapped inside his mind. Sure, we know he had anger issues and a mean streak, but would he have become as murderous as Vecna has without the control of a bigger bad? I don't know. Part of me wonders if this is all against his will. Now, also, I just love Jamie as an actor, and I kind of don't want to see him be this absolutely awful bad guy, and I think he's irredeemable at this point. But similar to Kylo Ren, I think there is an act of kindness you can do on the way out that almost kind of makes it a wash. Even though Vecna's killed a lot of people. And again, I don't really have any evidence for this. This is just something that I've really been thinking about, and it's kind of bouncing around my brain. What if one is the secret piece to ending all of this? What if one is the one to make things right? I don't know. It just seems kind of poetic. But we'll see. So look, everybody, those are just some predictions and theories I have for Volume 2 and I guess Volume 3 of Stranger Things. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with some of these theories, or are there some other ones that you agree with? Who else do you think is going to die? Because I wouldn't be surprised if another person does die, aside from the ones I mentioned. Whatever it is, I want you guys to sound off down below in the comments section. Let's discuss this, because we have 2 weeks to wait to get through this, and I don't know if I'm going to make it. So, chime in down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already yet. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.